good. So I'm gonna when we starting. My cousin's in this film.
No way.
Yeah, she plays the shop attendant with the blue hair.
Olivia.
Yes, my cousin.
Oh my God, she's awesome.
Yeah,
she's so funny.
And she was in the trailer. Thank you so much for putting in the trailer. She was so happy about
that. She was a joy to work with. She's so much fun and does an impeccable American accent.
I know, I was going to say.
Yeah.
No, I was back then. I told someone in the kind of press waiting room, and then they were like, "Oh, the American guy." I was like, "No." It's from Wimbledon.
I mean, look, you guys are so much better than we are at accents. It's like really kind of embarrassing.
But that kind of leads into my first question because it is bringing in that sort of character, and at the end, I think she shouts, "Are you single?" for example. And it's that kind of, there's loads of these little light touches and comedic moments in this, and these kind of moments of kind of light relief, and they're so perfectly kind of like peppered into this because it's really funny at times, this movie. But what was that balance like in making sure it had that kind of lightness, but the stakes were always high, and you never threatened to kind of undermine the stakes of the adventure side of it.
Yeah, it is a tightrope that you walk because we are kind of dancing around from a lot of different sort of tonal vibes over the course of the movie. I think at the core of the film, there's a strong beating heart, and that was the thing that was most critical to get right. Is like, what is the movie about? Where's the heart of the film? And then once we felt like we were on solid footing there, that gives you license to go in all sorts of different directions. Sometimes you can veer too wildly in one way or the other, and you got to rein it back in. But there was always, for me, there was no question that Masters was going to be a playful movie. That there is just inherently in the material, there's a silliness to it, which I think is a virtue. It's something for me and for the team to embrace. It was not something to shy away from. But we sincerely love this stuff, so we treated it very seriously, even though it is very silly at times. That there is something that's a very kind of pure and primal at the core of the movie, and it is about this guy's story. And there's great depth to that performance and his journey over the course of the movie that I think is quite moving. And so to try to find, the adrenaline, the comedy, the pathos, it is a tightrope. But I'm really pleased with the way it all came together in this movie.
I mean, you've gone on record saying how much you love Master of the Universe and how much you love the character kind of He-Man.
Yeah.
Do you think you could have done this if you didn't have that established passion?
Absolutely not. I mean, it's funny because you do see this sometimes in adaptations that these films made out of an existing material, whether it's a book or a comic book or a video game or a toy line, that sometimes they don't bear any resemblance to our own experiences of loving these materials. So I think that first and foremost, the people who are adapting anything that exists, they need to understand and love the material. And in the case of me, I knew this stuff. I was 8 years old when I discovered Master of the Universe, and I loved it. I was a completist. I read the comic books, I watched the cartoon, I played with the toys. So I understood the DNA of what this was. And for me, that gave me a lot of confidence going into it that I know what this needs to be. Now, there are going to be people definitely who disagree with me and that's not my He-Man, and that's fine. But I had to make it the thing that I thought it needed to be, and that's how we ended up with this film.
But your He-Man was Nicholas on this occasion. He has to be so believable in this as kind of a regular normal guy, kind of just living a kind of regular normal life, and then also completely believable as He-Man,
the most
powerful man. But because when you were kind of casting for the role, were you trying to find both of those things in the kind of casting process? What were you kind of looking at when you were finding Nicholas to take on that role?
It's going to sound strange because when people think about He-Man, they famously think about the body, the physique, the giant shoulders and the glazed ham biceps and the Greek urn calves. They think about the body, but I wanted the soul. I wanted the spirit of the character, and that was the most important thing for me to try to capture. And so I figured if I could find the actor who could evoke all the things that I loved about Adam, the kind of the vulnerability, the sincerity, the humor, just kind of the raw emotion underneath all of that, that I was crossing my fingers that if I found the person who I thought could do that they could transform their body into this muscle-bound dude. And I met Nick, and he was a former athlete, but he certainly didn't look like He-Man when I met him over 2 years ago. And I was utterly charmed by him. He had everything that I was looking for in He-Man. He just didn't have the physique. And so he did the hard work of training, of weightlifting, of eating right, of doing all the cardio, insane amount of work that he had to do to get in He-Man shape. And I'm just so proud of him. And that was the critical thing to get right, to get the spirit of the character, not so much the physique. blessedly, by the end, I got both.
Yeah, I interviewed him on a set of a movie he was making while he was in the training at university. He walked in and I was like, oh, yeah, he's going to make a good He-Man.
He got so fucking big. My God, it had been weeks since I'd seen him at one point. I could not believe how much he transformed.
Well, I spent a few days on set, and after that catering, I think I've also got a bit big, but in a different way. But I was going to ask about, because you started in animation, of course, and where anything is possible with animation. Do you think, because I love the world building in this is great, and the way the whole world looks is incredible, and because obviously you have that kind of history of working in a kind of format where you can, whatever you draw becomes a reality. Do you think that's a mindset you took in with you into this kind of project? And is there ever moments of frustration where there are limitations to what you can do? Because obviously, from where you came from, you can do anything.
You can and you can't. I mean, there are always limitations to what you can do, whether it be a time, budget, the scale of things that you're working in. But I do think I bring an animator's point of view to everything that I do. I was an animator before I was a director, before I made live action, and that's always something, the way I look at the world. With animation, you start with a completely blank canvas. Every single thing is a choice. Everything in the world is designed, manipulated, and built by an artist's hands. Now, you work in a live action film, and it is very, very similar. You still kind of, in some ways, start with a blank canvas. But then, the process of making the film is considerably different. In a lot of ways, you have less kind of granular control over every last aspect of it. But in other ways, there's a beautiful collaboration that comes out of the process. People bring things that you don't necessarily expect. You get happy accidents, little serendipitous moments on set every single day, something you couldn't have planned for. And the thing about stop motion animation specifically is every single thing is planned within an inch of its life. And it does, there are moments where you just don't get that kind of spontaneity that you would get working on a live set with live actors. But I approached it with the same discipline that I would bring animation. So many of these sequences were storyboarded within an inch of their lives, just like I would in animation. And then that allowed us to have a framework, a plan that we knew exactly what we needed to get on the day, and that created opportunities for us to play. And so it was kind of the best of both worlds, really.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. And I'm going to text Olivia now and tell her I just met you.
All right. Yeah. She's awesome, by the way. She's so funny in the movie.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey, you guys!
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey, you guys!
Hey!